Uh, Good morning, YouTube. This is your boy King of Hearts here. Getting up early this morning. Just got to the terminal. Let's see if the lighting's okay in here. Hold on. Let's see if that helps out. Yeah, here we go. I'm up here getting to Target to the terminal. Got a pickup this morning. I got like a 2-3 day haul here. And I wanted to give you a video. I had a person ask a question about kind of planning for your trip and kind of what does that look like. So pre-planning is definitely something critical to trucking, and something you want to do on every single trip. It's not something that you don't want to just be like, oh, I'm going here, I'm just gonna go, I'll figure it out as I go, and then that's it. Everybody know I work with Swift, so there's a couple process. We got, once you get everything, the paperwork and everything, they send it through the Qualcomm certain things, so they even kind of give you like a pre-trip or a pre-plan. They give you like kind of like what time you should start. I don't go as much off of that. Like, they tell you kind of like very specific, like this is when you should leave, this is when you should take your 30, this is what you do this. I kind of make my own. And the way I do it is, once I get the information, the first thing you want to do is write down everything. I have like this little book I get from the Swift terminal. It's like a little book, and what it does is it pretty much, you just put all your info in it, and it asks you like all the basic information that you're gonna get. I mean, like, this is pretty much the sheet, so if you can see it, it'll ask you like the date, it'll ask you the time, it'll ask you the trip number, it'll ask you the pickup time, the location, the phone number. It'll give you the day you sent in and accepted the loads. It gives you pretty much all the information that you need, for one, for your own, you want to have it. So if something gets messed up or something changes, you have all the information. It has the address of the location where you're going, the drop off, the time, all that good stuff. You want to get as much information on that paper as you can. The pickup number, the BOL number, the trailer number, whatever information they send you, write it down so that way you have it. For one, Qualcomm goes down, guess what? And you're at the shipper receiver and you get there and your machine's acting up. You can't be sitting around waiting. I mean, with Swift, you can. There's an app that you can put on your phone, which is dial-up Swift, which is pretty cool because it allows you to view almost everything that you see on your Qualcomm right on your phone. And the cool thing about it, if you're not on the truck, you can still see those when they send you those loads. So that way you can accept it, deny it, counter it, or whatever. So once again, you get all your information on the sheet of paper here, and you break it all down to make sure you got it all. I did have a second notebook that I like, a little small one, and this is pretty much my money book. That way I look at it. Obviously, I'm interested in going to like a lease or owner op down the road potentially, and it's good to kind of get to know the expenses and how it all works out. So for one, I want to make sure I get paid correctly. So in my book here, I'll have the trip number. I'll write down again. And then I'll write down the miles that are empty and loaded. So I like to make sure what they pay me is loaded miles, because I have had it before where they pay me different than what that is. And you just ask them about it, and they normally give you a reason, that if they don't, they'll fix it for you. I'll have the date that I actually got the load, and then I have the date that I scanned it in. So that way, when did you actually scan the paper in? That's after you're done. And then I also have down the fuel, because I want to see how the fuel works. So if I need a fuel, what did I start with? And it kind of start getting you to understand how much money you're spending in fuel, even though it's not coming out of your pocket. If I'm driving 600 miles, how much fuel did I put in the truck? How much fuel did I burn? It just starts to get you in that state where you start learning about how, to run that part of the business. And fuel is like a big thing if you're looking at going into lease or owner operator, being able to control that. So I have that. So what I do, once I get the address, to pre-plan, to kind of pre-plan, the first thing I do is I take that address of where I'm going. So if, like me, I worked directly with Target right now, so I know the shipper. I know where I'm gonna pick it up, so I don't have to really worry about that. But if I didn't, I would do the same thing for the shipper. But what I gotta look at is where I'm going. So what I do is I get the address and I see the how long the distance on Google. I use Google Maps for majority of my stuff, and I look at the mapping as far as the direction between where I'm going and pretty much where I'm at. And I'm just checking the traffic to see if there's anything standing out, if there's any accidents, anything that's showing up at the moment. So I check that out real quick. Then I check out the weather. I use WeatherBug for my weather, and I check the weather out. Some people don't think about it. It's crazy. I live in the West Coast, more of the northern part of it, so weather can be a factor. You know, if it's snowing, if it's raining, if it's whatever, I like to know when I'm driving into or what period or how far I'm gonna be driving. So if I'm driving through a rainstorm, how long before I come out of it, I like to know that in advance. And then what I do also, so where I'm going to be dropping off at, I go into the address and I go into Google Earth, and I look at the actual building. And what that does is it gives me a full picture, I mean, pretty much of the store. It lets me know, I can see where the dock is, I can see kind of where the space is, and I can see kind of how to maneuver around that building before I even get there. And then I can do street view if I want to get even more, so I can see the streets and I can see kind of where I should be turning. And sometimes my GPS will be a little different than the Qualcomm. Some routes you have to be mandatory, but as I get closer, if I'd be like, man, maybe I should go down this road, this may be better than the Qualcomm. Long as it's still safe and it's truck approved, you're okay. You know, just understand, if you don't follow Qualcomm and something happens, it can probably be a bad situation for you. But the closer you get to the destination, I always tell people, the closer you get, the more you want to use the Qualcomm system, because you know, it's pretty much, if something was to happen, you could come back on that company and be like, well, they told me to go this way. But once I get that down, I know exactly where I'm going. I still start to look at it, and I'll be like, all right, so I know I'm gonna back up here, I know I'm gonna pull this trail out, and I'm gonna park this one here, and then I'm gonna do this and figure my way. And what I do, it depends on how far the trip is. You know, you got different apps. Your trucker, if you get a Garmin GPS, trucking GPS, you can use this, and it just gives you where rest stops or truck stops to stop in between your route. You can do it also on Google Maps if you use Google Maps. And go ahead and plan your 30-minute break if you're gonna have to take one. It's just best to do that, so that way you're not have to worry about your hours, and go ahead and know where you're gonna stop at. Some people, depends on the time of the day where you want to stop. Mom and pop stops are not is a good thing because it's normally not as busy. I get it when people go to like the Loves or the TAs, stuff like that. It can mean, you know, it's just what people know. But understand the time of the day factors into that, as far as around parking and stuff like that. 30-minute break, you can take it kind of sitting wherever. You can't just pull into a rest stop. You cannot, I do not advise anybody to pull on the side of the road for safety. I know with Swift, they just had somebody that pulled on the side of the road, I think, to take a 30-minute break, and somebody ran into them and hit them because I don't think they pulled too far enough off the road. And guess what? That person was responsible, and they was the one that got fired. Just remember, most accident with trucking is preventable. And if something happens, almost 99% of the time, it's the trucker's fault. It doesn't make a difference what it is. If you could have been driving slower, you could have had more distance in between, so you got to take your time. So once you plan off all the information and you take your time to understand your trip, it sets you up for success. It doesn't take as much time as you think. Most of the stuff you can do well in advance, because like you said, unless, you know, for me, I'll get my load kind of my day before. So that means I can write most of that information down, either when I shut down at nighttime or if I get some time in the morning time. But writing down the information does not take as long. It definitely helps you out to go back when you are sitting in the paperwork, because you have to scan all your paperwork in. So once you're done with your load, for the day or for the trip, you have to take that paper and you send it in for Swift anyway. So you can, it's an app on my phone I use. You just take a picture of the paperwork, the BOL paperwork, the bill of landing, just in case people don't know what that is. The bill of landing paperwork, it has to make sure it's been signed. And what I do is I write a couple things on there to make sure they know exactly what it's for. But then you get it, you send it in, and you file it. And if something comes up, I have this little thing here, and I keep all my paperwork in there. And so far I just do I do a 30 and 60 days, and then after the 60 days I'll put it in a box. So 2 months I'll put in there, and then once again, like I said, after that 60 days, once it starts to roll over, I haven't been there long, I'm still new learning, I'll take that 60 days and I start putting in a box. But you always want to keep this stuff, and then any bills or anything, receipts and stuff, just once again, even if you're gonna go company, it's good to do this thing. If you're just gonna stay company, understanding how everything runs is probably critical, and I think that's how you learn. But if you're definitely looking into potentially in the future going lease or owner operator, this is the best time to start, is because of the fact that you're not having to fork out the bills for certain things, like your truck breakdown, if you got to get something for your truck, if you got the fuel for your truck, and all that stuff. You're not having to pay that right now, so why not take advantage of it and learn now, so that way you're not having to learn at your own expense when you get your own truck. So once again, pre-planning it is not too hard, but it is very, very, very important. I don't advise you just to jump in a truck and get going. Know where you're going, know all the things about it as much as you can. Make sure you have all the information down, and then go from there. So hopefully it helps out to some of you people out there that are starting to get into trucking. I am rookie, I'm new. Some of you that may be already in trucking, that's been like, hey, I didn't think about it this way. Maybe it'll help you out to think about this in a little different view. And some of it could be too much. Maybe I write down too much information, but I don't think it's ever a time where you can have too much information. To me anyway, I mean, I'm protecting myself, and I want to know how to do, I want to know how to run a profitable business when it comes down to trucking, because trucking is different, and understanding fuel costs, understanding the different things, the mileage and stuff like that, or destination, makes a big difference. So I'm trying to think, is there any more questions to go on that? I think that's about it. Hopefully it helped out, guys and girls out there. If you continue to ask questions, just let me know if there's anything I can answer for you. I'm still out here on my journey. I'm in my truck right now. I'm chilling. Sitting in the back. I don't know if you've been in the back of it. I'm at the bottom bunk, sitting back here chilling, just waiting for my load to be ready so I can grab it, and then I will hit the road. It's rain out here today, which is not uncommon that time of the year, so it's probably going to rain all the time. But I'm glad it's not snowing. I had some friends that was in the snow, and I'm not looking forward to that. I can be honest. So, but I'm gonna be safe out here. Remember, always, guys and girls, if you like the video, obviously hit a like, thumbs up or thumbs down. Subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna be coming at you with more videos. I think I'm gonna do one on the Qualcomm as far as around like hours of service. I hit the other day, I was down to like a minute on my Qualcomm when I was driving, man, right down to like, man, I thought I was gonna get a violation just because of time. And once again, I was like pre-planning, and I got to my destination with a minute left on my clock, of my drive time clock. But I'll give y'all a video on kind of how the hours and everything work. That's where you can make a lot of your money, and understanding how it works. On duty, not driving, on duty driving, sleeper berth, your 30-minute break, how that all plays in together. So I'll give y'all a video on that soon. Outside of that, guys and girls, y'all have a great day. It's Sunday. Enjoy it. Be blessed that we're up this morning. And once again, love what you do what you love, and never give up. This is your boy, King of Heart. I'll get at you guys and girls later. Peace.